Hey, everyone. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Tonight, we have some special guests. Now, these people have so much on their plate. I'm really impressed. They're more than just what I thought they would be. I am very excited to introduce this team, that White Sage Paranormal. These guys have so much to offer that it will make your head spin. Because I know when I was talking to one of the guests, my head was spinning. I mean, it was like, oh my gosh, you guys have a lot. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves after I
love your guys' name too.
bring them on. So please welcome Jared and Christine. Hello, guys.
Hello. Hey, thank you for having us on your show.
You're most welcome.
So I guess we'll just take turns doing ourselves. Would you like to go first? Do you want me to go first? Go ahead and go first. All right. So my name is Jared. I go by Paradox Online. I am one of the founders of White Sage, and I'm also the main editor, producer, reviewer, and social media representative for our team.
Hey, I'm Christine. I'm one of the co-founders. I'm an investigator. I'm a definite researcher. I'm a sensitive. And I love doing evidence review. It's one of my favorite things in the world.
See, I told you, everybody, these guys are going to be terrific to listen to tonight. You guys have so much on your plate. I think the first question I want to ask you guys
How long have you guys been doing the team, and how did you get started? Like, what got you interested in the paranormal and witchcraft?
So I want to say we started in 2023.
Oh, yeah, about 2 years ago.
22, 23.
Mhm.
Yeah. This was all brought about because myself, Christine, and two of our other members that founded the group with us, we sort of all have had our own personal experiences throughout our lives, and due to I want to say a mild obsession with watching paranormal investigations on YouTube and on television. We just randomly, one of our members is like, hey, why don't we just start a group and actually go out and really do this stuff so we can have fun? That way, instead of actually watching it, we're doing it. I mean, we all have connections to paranormal experiences and a history with that. Like, why not? And after thinking about it for a few days, we just said, yeah, okay, cool, let's see what happens. And we formed White Sage. Now, did we think it was going to go anywhere? No. Our original goal when we started the group was just for ourselves as friends to have an excuse to go out and do paranormal investigations, ghost hunt, do research on historical locations, just the whole everything. After we created a group page, though, a lot of people sort of became interested in our group, and it blew up for a period of time.
Good.
Okay, so what was one of the scariest or most exciting investigations that you guys have ever done? Or you could tell us both.
The scariest one just recently.
Yeah.
Would
you like to do one each? Because I know I personally had one that was horrifying to me. I know that you have one that was terrifying to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then would you like to go first?
No, let you go first, because mine has to do more with the witchcraft spiritual part of it. That spooked me enough to make me move quicker. It definitely scared me.
I understand that.
So while I wouldn't rank the investigation we've collectively gone on as one of the most horrifying experiences I've had, it is with our group. So we have an old colonial cemetery that's about a mile away from the house we're currently in. We've been going there a couple of times throughout the past couple months to try and stir up activity due to it being a very majorly active place. First couple times we went there, everything was kind of just standard. We'll occasionally get EVPs. A new thing that started happening while we've been there is, and you guys in the audience might see some of this later. Some photographs of actual like things showing up in the cemetery, which had elevated. And then the last time we went there, I believe it was 2 weeks ago.
It's about three weeks ago. It's
About
been a
2, 3
minute.
weeks. But
Yeah,
anyways,
it's been a minute.
the last time we had gone there, we've been taking a break from going there because of this experience. Everything was business as usual, just quiet cemetery, maybe occasional like EVPs or mild like disturbances, like shadow beings. But a couple of times we've been there, she had heard my voice coming from the woods that surround this cemetery, telling her to come like talk to her out in the middle of the woods. And we'd like relocate each other and find out, no, that wasn't me. That was like, what are you talking about? So this kept happening from a specific part of the cemetery. The last time we were there, she started to investigate that section of the cemetery because she felt like something was off. When you go down here, it sort of bell ends into a section that's surrounded by a bunch of trees. She sees something move in the woods. So she backs off for a second, comes to get me. It's like, hey, you go check this out. Like, I want to make sure that I'm not just seeing things because it's late at night. So I go down to this tree line. I'm just shining one of our flashlights off the trees, see if I see anything. All of a sudden, right in front of me, maybe like, I want to say 4 feet away from me, is a pale, like almost marble white humanoid face with like black lines running down it, like it was either like it had black sweat lines, like it was that kind of shape on its face. And then like its eyes and mouth features, they didn't look like a void, but it looked like they were just blacked out, almost like someone in like mime makeup or clown makeup. I'm not sure what I saw, but it freaked me out badly enough that we all like left that section for about the rest of it, like didn't go back there for the rest of the evening and sat at a different part of the cemetery. We don't believe it's part of the cemetery because it kind of aligns with a different story we might bring up later on. But this is something that I immediately knew once I saw this creature looking at me from the edge of this cemetery, that it's not a good idea for us to go back for a period of time, because whether or not it's part of that cemetery or not, it didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like it was genuinely happy whatsoever that we'd been there, and that we were in danger of being attacked by this thing if we continued.
Wow. What do you think it was? Do you have any idea?
I have personally experienced shapeshifters in Ohio. Like, I wouldn't specifically call them skinwalkers because a lot of these people get wrong about that. Is that specific to the Navajo? Even though there are the same type of shapeshifters in every indigenous culture. But I believe it's something that can imitate people or things. And whatever it was, if it was able to imitate my voice,
which I think it did.
We think it's just like, yeah, she's under the impression this is the same thing that's been calling out to her using my voice and everything. If it was able to do that, I would say it was. I don't want to call it like a skinwalker type shapeshifter, but it's definitely something that could mimic other people or other things. And the way it was doing is definitely predatory because it was trying to draw her out to it in the middle of the forest, like away from everybody.
Wow. How about you, Christine? What was your story?
My story actually happens in our local cemetery here in East Sparta. We were, was it 2 weeks ago? Maybe same time, or 3 weeks ago, maybe. We were down here in their cemetery, and there's a little place where you can go down near the river that runs down there. It runs like a strip mine area kind of thing, looks like it. We were walking down there, and I have guardians that follow me through my sensitive air, like they tell me, stop, or something's not right, or listen to me, like pay attention. And we were walking down there, and one of them, and Dagron is his name, and he had him out in front of me, and all of a sudden he just stopped. and I stopped dead in my tracks. And he said, "You can't go any further." I said, "What?" Put my hand out. I couldn't get, there was something there that said, "Stop. You're not going any further." So I physically could not move forward. He could. So at that point in time, I turned around and started heading back the opposite way. Well, when he caught up to me, I turned around and all of a sudden I heard, "Get off of me." And then I looked down and I saw blood coming down my shoulder. One of my guardians was attacked, which is unusual, very unusual. Like I could feel his pain, his fear, everything. It scared the living crap out of me. I never feel him like that ever. So I don't know what it was down there, and it's still down there. Me and him have been trying to figure it out, but he gets a little nasty like he did the last time and runs us out of there.
Wow. Wow. Almost sounds like kind of like a mimic, in a way, because because they take the voice of someone to turn it to themselves, So that's why it's kind of like sounds like it's being explained in a way, but then again, I never heard of one being outside. It's always inside or something. But that is really interesting. From the experience you had, how did it affect your general beliefs about the paranormal or the afterlife?
It hasn't really changed me.
I wouldn't say that the most recent experience I've had was enough to change my belief systems, because I've for some reason I've just sort of always known since I was little that there are ghosts, that there are these things out there. My family never went out of their way to be like, "You're just making it up. It's nothing." Like, no, like they didn't really encourage it either. It's sort of like my family has a subtle awareness that they have abilities, but they just don't acknowledge it, but they don't bastardize it either. So my system behind that hasn't really changed since I was maybe 12 or 13. But then that change happened because I started to study more about like ghosts and spirits and like their relationship with like ourselves, and like just wanted to know more about what was really happening.
Cool. How about you, Christine? About the same, or?
Yeah, mine's about the same. I mean, my mom was into the paranormal, so I pretty much grew up on it, watching A Haunting, the original A Haunting show. Yeah, one of those. The old documentaries, the Ghost in the Canterbury Hall, the really old black and white one. Like my mom was into that stuff, so I grew up kind of around it all the time. And my mom always told me like, there is life after death. You just gotta find it.
Yeah.
And if that's something you want to do in your life, then go for it. And ever since I was little, like I've been able to feel things, see things other people can't see. I have deja vu like on a daily basis. Because it's like when I sleep, I see different things and then they come true the next day. So it's kind of not different for me. Because I can kind of tell you what's going to happen, but then it might change. So I can't unchange it if it changes, but
yeah, I can understand that most definitely. How do you differentiate between paranormal experience and just natural occurrence?
I'd say when we experience something, I'm more likely, not as a skeptic, but as a checklist I keep, try to rattle off everything that could have caused something I experienced, versus if I can't complete enough checks on that checklist, then I'm going to question more about what happened, instead of trying to write it off as something that's environmental or psychological.
Right.
She is about the same, but also, like, no offense, more likely to call something a paranormal interaction. So if we're both stumped by something, we'll sort of talk back and forth, offering both different sides of that opposing agreement or disagreement to try and better ground ourselves within what we're seeing. But like, in case we also don't have a determination, we do have two different members on our team that are directly. I wouldn't call them fully speculative or skeptical, but it's enough that they're going to be the first person to try and deny they had an experience, even though they want to experience something.
Cool. Because I know there's a lot of people are, if they hear anything that goes bump in the night, you have some that says, "Oh my God, it's a spirit," and you have some like, "Oh no, something fell," So,
yeah, we can find a lot around here.
oh yeah, and and a lot of people, especially when they go on investigations. I know I've been with a few teams that they know, like, oh, that there is something, and then they kind of use the imagination to kind of illusion.
It kind of spins the story a little bit.
Yeah, they kind of spin the story a little bit. Now, Jared, you said something interesting in a conversation today between reality and the unknown. Did you want to explain that a little bit more?
Trying to remember the quote, because that was earlier this morning, but me saying that you have to understand both to have balance between the two, or something to that effect. Yeah, so that comes back into the system I've personally developed to try and rule out and debunk natural phenomenon against supernatural or unexplainable phenomenon. Simply because if you think everything is haunted or abnormal, it's going to mess with your perception of reality. It's going to mess with you. If you are too grounded in reality, you can justify everything, but you'll either lock yourself into a trap where you don't trust or believe in anything, or, in my opinion, you'll live a more diminished life. You're not willing to have a sense of wonder. But when you deal with stuff that you can't explain, that your mind can't rationalize, you have to have a foothold in both to be able to maintain yourself when you deal with things that you can't explain, when you deal with the unnatural world. Because a lot of it, I'm not afraid to admit I've had 2 moments in my life of psychosis induced by trying to process and cope with some of the things I've experienced because my brain can't rationalize it. And if it wasn't for having a foothold in reality of, hey, what are you going to do about it? Even if this did happen, does it really matter at the end of the day? Can you change it? Does it affect you? Does it does it directly affect you? Is it affecting your life? Is it affecting anything around you? But can you prove that it happened? Do you know that it happened? And yeah, if you can't keep yourself grounded on both sides, you will lose yourself to one or the other.
I can definitely understand that. Yeah, because like I was just saying earlier, people they jump at everything at times, and sometimes they just don't know if that is real or not. And in other people's mind, they want everything to be scary. And then on the other hand, they want everything not to be scary. So yeah, I can understand that. Christine, now I understand that you're into the ancient mysteries, which is very exciting, very exciting. Can you tell us a few of the ancient mysteries that you have researched that you would like to share with us?
Oh, some of the ancient ones. Oh boy, that's a laundry list. Actually, right now I'm actually trying to study the Norse mythology right now, actually, and it's finding quite interesting how most of the Norse religion and mythology goes along with other religions. Like, you can literally cut religions in half and pretty much paste them all back into their own religions, which makes it quite comical. But like Norse, they don't really have to do with just like gods and goddesses. They have fairies, they have gnomes, they have ghouls, they have ghosts, they have all kinds of different stuff. They have their own rituals for getting rid of ghosts, which is white sage is actually one of the biggest ones. Um, it's really neat to find like a lot of ones, and some other ones I've done is like Egyptian. Egyptian ones are really neat. I've actually also did a little bit of witchcraft ones. Obviously normal cryptids.
Hmm.
You know, like I've done that. We have our own cryptids around here. Just nobody actually thinks about that stuff. Like we didn't have anybody around here to look for that stuff, so now we do. And it's even more of a mystery to me to figure out where they're all at here. It's
Yeah.
not a TV show. This is something I do for fun. This is something that I do for a hobby that I enjoy doing. I'm not afraid to walk into the woods after Bigfoot. Like some people are. I'm not.
I'm like, oh, hell no.
So I don't know. You know, sometimes when we do cryptid shows, they kind of turn the question around on me. If what would I do if I came across like a Bigfoot or
The thing
or
is, like,
something.
I hung out in the woods as a small child, like most of my childhood, and nothing ever bad happened to me in the woods. So why would it be different, you know, at night? But I'm
The
also
woods are a lot different at night.
yeah, I'm also
Mhm.
very sensitive to spiritual activities, so I prefer not to.
yeah.
Prefer not to. Because
We just interviewed a good friend, Sue Walker, who is telepathic and she can talk to the ETs and everything. She gets really to know all the UPAs and everything. And of course, she does the cryptids too. And, you know, she was saying that because she was telling me a hot spot here in our state to go to if I want to see one or get a glimpse of one. But she says, you know, they're more scared of us than we are of them, even though they're much bigger than us.
Yep.
But they are scared of us. But so, you know, when people ask me, what would I do? I'll probably say, hey, dude, let's come over here and party. What kind of drink you want? You know, want a hot dog? You want a hamburger? I'll be that type that will try to be friends with them more than anything. I'm fearless to some point. Now, if I see a dogman, well, no, I'm gone. I'm out of there. So
We
I guess,
haven't seen a dogman yet, but I have a feeling we've come across one a couple of times. We just didn't know it.
yeah, that's for sure. It's hard to differentiate some of the cryptids though because there's so many of them anymore, and I get to know that when I do these shows. It's one reason why I like doing the shows because I get educated as well as the audience. So, and that's really cool. I love that. Now you also into the myths, the lores. What kind of myth and what? No, I should say, what is a myth and how does it differ from a legend or a folk tale? Because everybody thinks they're pretty much the same, and they're not.
No, actually, they are not the same. A myth is a traditional story that concerns the early history of people or civilizations. Take here in Ohio for an example. There is a town called Helltown, Ohio, which a lot of people actually know because of videos and documentaries and all this other stuff. Okay? Now, it's a myth that the whole town is haunted. Do we know it's all haunted? No, we don't. All we know is the myth that was laid down by people before us. A legend is something that's told over time, like from one ancestor to another in a family setting. Like, say, I'm Irish and I believe in the leprechauns. That's passed down from my great grandmother all the way to me. That's a legend. There's a complete difference. A myth is created to keep like people at bay to a point, and then a legend is actually just taken down over time. King Arthur is known as a legend in time. Like King Kong is a myth. You know what I mean? It was created by somebody in their head and put in the picture. He's a myth. Does he really exist? Probably not. Because there's always a little bit of truth and a little bit of legend. So you just gotta mop out the truth beyond the legend. That's what I like to do in research, is find the truth beyond everything and try to figure out what's really going on. Why are these ghosts trapped here? Or why is this cryptid here? Or what's going on? What is so off balance here that you have to come to the surface to get our attention?
Mm-hmm.
Something's off here. So we go in to try to fix that. And if we can't, we try to put them at rest as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, very, very. And there, I mean, it's all interesting. You know, how did you get started on? Was it just interested in them? Did your mother? Did she kind of got you on doing some research on this, or was this by yourself?
No, actually, I got into this all on my own. I was between the ages of 10 and 13. I can't quite remember, but I was really young. I was in my bedroom one night, and I don't know why. I was just woken up, and I happened to look in the corner where my closet door was by my window. So when you would look, you would see the shadow from the moon coming through the window, and it would never quite hit the closet door because of where it sat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that night I looked up in that corner, and there was a man in a bowler hat. And now I can remember that clearly. I remember getting up out of bed slowly, going to my mom's room, and telling her, "Mom, there's a man in my room." My mom, being my mom, jumped up out of bed, ran to my room, flipped on the light, and there was nobody there. And a few years later, I had already been ghost hunting with one of my best friends for like 12 years prior to that. But my nephew had moved into that exact same room, my old room. And one day I was sitting on the couch with my mom, and he goes to put one foot inside that door, and he stops and he turns and he looks at both of us and goes, "Who's that in my room?" "The man with the bowler hat." And my eyes shot up, my head shot like, "What? What'd you just say to me?" And he's like, "The man with the bowler hat." So I ran in there, and I looked. There was nobody in there. My hairs on the back of my neck were standing up. I knew something was there. I just couldn't see it. So my nephew's freaked out now. He's like, "I'm not going back into that room." And he didn't either. He slept in the living room floor for like a week after that. It scared him that badly. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's whatever got me started on it, like really hardcore, because I wanted to know who that was.
Yeah.
I never did quite find out yet.
Now, have you ever done like the Ouija board to find things out or anything?
I actually don't use the Ouija board. I don't believe in the Ouija board because of all the power that's associated with it. And honestly, I had little kids at the time running around me, and if I had one around and they got to playing with it and did something that I didn't realize they did, we would have been in trouble.
Oh.
So I never quite got into the Ouija board. I never did quite get into tarot a lot either, but I do tarot a little bit. But more mine is like sensitivity to the energy, touch, feelings. Sometimes I get flashes. Sometimes I see things. Sometimes I don't. Just depends on what I'm doing at the time.
Now, do you, either one of you guys, do you get into like the Anunnaki teachings or anything?
I personally have a general understanding of different versions of tales about the Anunnaki and their representation, what their significance was to humanity. As far as actual teachings, I never really got into that side of it. I got more into trying to understand more about what they're representative of. Because I personally feel like you take a specific group of people that have a specific experience with how life is supposed to work,
Mm.
and they're observing everything in these texts that has happened to them,
Mhm.
and it's being recorded. How are they going to describe seeing things that, if you see a lot of like the specific depictions of them, look almost like what we currently have in our modern society as far as like capabilities, technology, their version of magic and godlike powers? That's stuff that we can do with like a thing that's the size of our hand, or computers, or like Wi-Fi, advanced technology, all this other stuff. And I've been like so as far as teachings, I haven't studied that aspect of the Anunnaki, but studying them in general has taught me a lot more about the world and a lot more about our current world and where we're currently at in our development as a species.
Do you do you think that, because I kind of, well, first let me answer the question I'm going to ask. For me, I think so. Okay. So my answer is yes on this next question I'm going to ask. Do you think that everything is kind of like related, from the Anunnakis to the,
They're all connected.
to
There
the Bigfoot, the cryptids, the spirits and everything?
Yes and no. Yes, and that I feel like all of these things are related to each other, but no, in the regards to, I think that they are fantasticalized depictions of different actual things
Mm-hmm.
from the perspective of people trying to understand in the past what these things are that then became like local legend or folklore about those specific things. I do not think that I think that like aliens and demons and dimensional beings are all related to each other in the sense that they are beings that exist on a higher plane than humanity, but I do not feel that they are all representatively the same thing. If that makes sense.
Yep, that makes sense. How about you, Christine?
Oh, I've never really practiced it myself. Like I've studied it a little bit, but not like that much into it. Anunnakis.
Yeah.
I've never
Well,
really
do you
done.
think everything's related, though? I mean, you think
Well, absolutely. Everything is related to each other. It's going back to, like I said, you can split religions. Part of that is the Native American religion that
Yeah.
says everything is a circle. Everything comes back into itself. So, yeah, I believe everything is connected at some point in time.
And we have a video that I want to show you. Let me bring it up. It's going to show as soon as possible right here. Here we go. And this is a video that you caught on one of your investigations, right, Jared?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to be showing it now, so listen closely. Okay, let me bring that down. Okay, so what was that we was hearing?
Well, first, I'd like to recommend anyone that's listening to this right now, if you want to like go back and review that, I recommend wearing headphones and turning your volume up because it'll help you hear it better. But anyways, to continue, neither of us have any idea what that was. So there's a local cemetery in the town we live in that's also where it's the same cemetery where her guardian, she was telling the story earlier, where they got attacked. This happened the same night. Leading up to this, my girlfriend, who should be here shortly, she is newer to understanding she has abilities because she kind of just, unfortunately, she was someone that was told she was crazy her entire life by her family because they're super religious, which, I mean, that's fine and all. But we recently discovered that she's able to channel spirits. Like, actually,
Oh.
I don't know if she can directly talk to them, but she can have telepathic communication with them and get information from them. There was a spirit that was telling us one day when we had went through for a walk through the cemetery and around the cemetery during the day that they were near a section of the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And oh Jesus, what was that noise?
Hi.
Oh.
Surprise!
Gang, obviously.
That was a great entrance.
You see us paranormal. We just figured out what was that.
So, okay, I'm going to play it once again, and your girlfriend, Asia.
Let's give it up.
Alyssa.
Okay, I'm going to play it again. I want you to tell us what you think of it. Okay.
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 That gremlin.
The gremlin noise. I mean, it's for. Oh.
The weird chanting.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
So, once you explain to us what you think it is.
I mean, it was kind of difficult for me to hear because I'm still learning the ability to block other sounds out to focus on this one sound that's like in the
Excuse me.
background.
1 second. Gotta go deal with her real quick.
So
Go ahead and continue.
So I'm still learning the ability or my abilities on how to figure it all out and stuff. So it's just a learning process right now for me.
Okay, cool. Because I think when I hear it, I've heard it with the headphones and without. And what it's like, I have people talking. I mean, like Appalachian folks, maybe some really old time folk magic bitches, or just, people that's just, they're just talking. I think they're interested in what you were doing there. And I think that's what they was talking about. That's just my perspective on it. So I don't know. I wasn't there. So
For me, it sounded like a crowd of people, like off in the distance. Like if you were, like, let's say you were at like a county fair or a public like gathering or something where you've just got a bunch of people in the background talking. It sounded like that, and then you have the main audio that cuts in. Of I'm not sure how to describe it. The closest thing I found was ancient tribal chanting, like Mayan chanting or Aztecian chanting, which doesn't match up for being around here, but that's the closest thing I could find in comparison to it.
Yeah.
Which we're not like, it was like me and her were the only ones there that night. We were actually on the complete opposite side of the cemetery from where that was being recorded. There was no one else there. We are not entirely certain what we were hearing. The only thing we have in correlation to that is that she was able to see a portal show up near that area, like it was trying to like form itself, but not completely. And I think for a while we juggled the idea if that was an entity that was tied to that opening.
Trying to talk through it.
and that noise was something coming through that temporarily. That's why there was a disruption. Because that's the only thing that happened. Like we had like maybe an audible whisper of something, but we couldn't make out what was being said before that. But that's taken from half an hour of just dead silence.
It was interesting. It was definitely interesting. Now, Jared, we was talking on our conversation today. We was talking about huge historical merit, at least for the state of Ohio. Can you explain that to us?
Oh, so this initially started with her, and it got me more invested in trying to do some more research on it myself. So, what actually inspired you to look that up?
What?
How did you originally come across
Ohio?
the submerged city at the lake?
Oh, at one lake. That all came across some research that I was doing before I got my research assistant here. She's still learning how to do it. But I came across an article in Atwood Lake website that said something about colonial days or bicentennial days or something like that, and I clicked on the link and it sent me to some kind of newspaper clip. I don't have it anymore, unfortunately, but it says something about Atwood, the Muskingum watershed evacuates town Oakdale due to building of lake. And I kind of spiraled off of just the name Oakdale from there, and I found, God knows, a lot of information. I even physically went there with Jared and felt around with my senses, and there's definitely something there. There's definitely unrest ghosts there. I just am in the middle of trying to find out exactly where that town was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we found the cornerstones and all this other stuff, but it just seems to me that it's something that seems off. So that's something I've been researching along with 3-4 more projects that I've been doing.
What we have covered so far with this landmark is that in the late 1800s, it was founded as a city inside of a floodplain, like a small colonial village. Like they had like an actual like railroad, they had a general store, they had a school, and they also had
a post office,
like lodging, post office, just a basic like old school colonial village. And for some reason, the local government that was over the original standing lake that used to be there decided that to cope with the flooding issue for that area, they were going to pretty much come in, shut that entire city down, make everybody move to out of the village, and then they built a new dam system and flooded the entire grounds where the village used to be. On one side of the lake, when the water's lower in the summer, you can actually see like foundational like blocks where a building would have sat like up off the ground. And then like even in like the surrounding woods in that area, there's still some remnants of it. Like I found out that there's a foundational block for I think it was either a farmstead or a church. And a lot of this, like, it's not public knowledge. This is something that
Muskingum watershed didn't want.
it seems like it was covered up by the watershed to just not deal with the paperwork of forcing hundreds of people out of a city. And this is something that's abnormal here because we have other local sites near the same like general perimeter of this area that are colonial villages that are historically protected. They're protected by the state of Ohio. They're considered national landmarks, and they have significance to the
history around
to the Civil War, the colonial war. Whenever we fought for independence, all major landmarks for that in this area. That was also one of them, but it's gone. I've lived in this area for about 30 years now, and I've not once heard anybody talk about it. I've been talking to people about it recently, and they're just like, wait, what? Really? Like they're completely flabbergasted that there used to be a city in the middle of this lake.
Oh, wow. It's amazing what things you would find out about a city. I know I live in a city. My hometown is a city below a city in the sewers. Kind of mind you of Beauty and the Beast in a way. Um, so it's Alicia, right?
Alyssa.
Alyssa.
Alyssa, I'm sorry. Okay, Alyssa, so you're new at all this. What
Yes.
made you wanted to just jump in and get started?
I really don't know what made me choose to like jump in and get started with it all. I guess it was just spending time with Jared and Christine and just noticing little noises here and there, and then also realizing that like I have like certain abilities that allows me to hear them, see or sometimes see them, but like know exactly like what direction they're in and able to like talk to them in certain ways. So like that like made me like invest in it more to like understand it more and see what else is there. So
Cool. Cool. So, Christine, I know you have so much more on your plate. And anything new that you are getting involved in now?
Yes, actually, I have been researching and studying a town known as Zor, Zoar, Zor, Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
who has a story for every building in the town, including the wetlands it is surrounded by, including the cemetery that sits by it. The old Ohio Erie Canal even has its own ghost stories that run up and down the park trail that comes up and down by the town. I
Mm-hmm.
have been deep diving headlong into this town, finding out that literally every building in that town has a ghost. And that there are Civil War fields called the Ghost Fields. I learned that out today. Ghost fields back there that you can hear live cannon fire and all kinds of stuff back there that I didn't really know. Like, I knew they had Civil War reenactments in that town, but I didn't realize that at night during the fall you can hear the cannons fire.
Almost sounds like a small Gettysburg.
It's basically what it was. That's what the book says.
Wow. How about you, Jared? Any new projects that you are kind of like diving into?
As far as related to our group, other than assisting with trying to find like new locations to look into,
Mm-hmm.
I've personally been more invested recently into like individual projects, stuff that I do outside of our group, but also related to our group. So I would say, at least related to what we're doing, the most recent venture I've started is trying to gather more information from the local historical societies and different groups that are over like historical like locations and landmarks in our area and throughout most of northeastern Ohio, to try and talk to people that are fully educated about like different cities, different townships, old school buildings. One of the more recent ones I looked at was a old style sawmill, like the kind of sawmill you would see in like the 16 to 1700s, where it would have a saw fed by a water wheel. Then they would use that to like push a log up against it, like that era. It's now a landmark. They do offer like in-person tours of the building, but I've been trying to get a hold of their local ordinance to try and find out more information about the site, more of its actual history, and hopefully eventually get in contact with the park authority that's over the property to see if we can actually get permission to go there and investigate the building.
Oh, cool. So my next question will be piggybacking I'll piggyback off that one. What would be one of your dreams locations to investigate?
That's a difficult question for me to answer because there's a lot of places I would like to go. If I could really narrow it down to three, I would say one of them would be the Penhurst State School in Pennsylvania. A lot of that building isn't really there anymore because I think there was at one point 5 or 6 main buildings that formed the campus of this asylum. I know that 2 or 3 of them were demolished because they fell into disrepair, like to the point where people would walk in them and they'd run the risk of falling through the floors. But then they converted the rest of the property into a haunted house attraction to try and just find a reason to keep it like safe, since the state government doesn't, for some reason, the state government doesn't want to register it as a historical landmark due to the amount of brutal and horrible things that happened to the patients when it was in operation, because it was in operation up until I think I'd say 70s or 80s, maybe even later than that. But that's one of the few places I'd like to go. If I could pick one other one, I would have to say I would honestly love to go to one of the ancient Aztec ruins in Mexico and just see, because I've seen on my mainstream cable when I was younger, people like do investigations of these places, but not proper investigations. They were looking for one specific thing. They weren't actually checking to see if the areas were haunted in general. They were going off of like local legends from the like descendants of like the Mayans and other Mexicans that live in the area. They weren't actually basing it off of, okay, let's investigate everything here and just see if we get anything. And I think it'd be cool to go there and actually do a proper full scale, like take a week or two and actually go throughout all of the landmarks and all the areas there and see if we even get anything.
So, wow. Yeah, that would be interesting. How about you, Alyssa? Alyssa? I'll get it into the time, the end of night.
I think a big one that I want to go investigate would be the Confederate Cemetery in Marblehead, because I have a book checked out from Sandusky's main library, and it's called the was it History of Put-in-Bay. So, or no, wait, it was one of the cemeteries from one of the books that you had out. Of the Ohio haunted cemeteries. And I found that one. I was like, wait a minute, we have to go there, because apparently the statue that faces towards the lake a little bit at night, it faces towards the back of the cemetery. And then there was witnesses there, and they saw like figures coming up, like off of like the headstones and stuff. So it got me like really intrigued and see if we could like catch something on tape or in picture of spirits still at the cemetery there to this day.
That'd be a good one too. How about you, Christine?
Well, I just think about it. I have 3 of them actually. I have the Winchester Mystery House. It's one of the places I've always wanted to see in person is that house. Look how big that house is. I actually do want to do Mansfield Reformatory, because I actually took the tour myself with a couple of friends. I've actually walked through there personally myself. So I want to go back there with equipment and see what I can find. And then the third one's not even in the United States. It's actually called the Hoyo Baciu Forest, and it's something that Josh Gates actually did twice. And it's pretty creepy out in there. It has to do with banshees, ghouls, goblins. You name it in this forest, it's there. And I want to go. We're going to learn up. I'll be on my way.
I think the smaller places that doesn't get recognized because they don't get talked about, those are the ones that are more intriguing than going to like Lizzie Borden house or the Conjuring house or
There's
anything
two more
like
I
that,
want to go to too.
you know, because those gets overpopularized and everything. I've been to the Lizzie house, and I it was an experience, but wasn't what I expected. I expected more probably, um, but I did hear voices of they were tired. The spirits were tired and just wanted to stop. You know, um, but to me, spirits can probably leave any time unless they're bounded. So that's I think some of these places are where the people who owns them, they must be doing something to try to keep the spirits there more to have a show and tell, make more money and stuff. And I think that's really really wrong, but that's just my opinions. So the small places like the cemeteries, the old buildings that's been torn down, that has history, I think those are the places that everyone should go to.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, so how about you, Alicia? Any new projects that you are wanting to do?
I'm still in one of the books I have checked out from the main library in Sandusky, like I said earlier. Just doing like research and see like what other places that would interest my peak and to go and figure out, because apparently in um Ashley's Island house in Put Bay has, or one of the houses actually. See, all of this just goes into like a hot mess. It all bundles up together. You don't even know what is what anymore. Apparently there's a there's a person or a spirit that's trapped in one of the staircases that have a wall that's been put up, and nobody knew about the staircase at all, and everything else. And then in one of the other buildings that is in Put Bay, the one room called the captain room, because the family that has a daughter that's called the Ashley Island house, the one room is actually has spirits and a lot of ghosts in it. Mm-hmm. So the one owner, she had a young Siberian woman to come and clean the upstairs, and she got to that room, she stopped, backed up, because she sensed there was a lot of spirits and ghosts in that one room. And then the owner, she was upstairs late at night between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, vacuum cleaning, and then that's when she experienced the noises of the spirits walking around. And then the next thing you know, she sees the pictures on the walls coming down one after another, right according, right after each other. And then an FBI agent and his wife stayed there, and the agent was outside in the hallway the entire time, and his wife was in the other room in the bathroom that's connected to the bedroom. Asked him a question and not even realizing that he wasn't even in the room. And she turned around, and in the doorway, she looked through the entire room. Nobody was in the room, but somebody was at the edge of the bed, sitting on the bed. She walked out to the hallway and asked the agent if he heard her calling out to him. So that was another experience that happened in the house. So I'm still doing my lovely research at that first book.
Wow. Wow. That'd be interesting. I mean, that is interesting. Okay. So I know that, like I said, there was so much more to you guys and everything. I want you to sell yourself on, not in a bad way. How about market yourself and everything. Now I know you all three are just so into a lot of things and everything, because like I was saying before the introduction, there's so much to you than just the paranormal. So in your own words, what would you, if somebody asks you, hey, what are you about? I want you to tell me, what are you about? What makes you so unique?
I personally say that there's a lot of fabricated events and people trying to get internet famous by creating fake encounters with different beings, different experiences, paranormal investigations that are completely fabricated, just all of this fakeness on the internet. Um, as someone that went on a personal journey wanting to understand more about why I can see these things, why I interact with them. For a while, I thought I could have had some mental issues. And when I was able to process that, no, this is a real thing that's happening to me, and it verifies that it happens to all these other people, it kind of changed. I kind of majorly changed my opinion of people that fake a lot of that on the internet. So I know that, like, me personally, but I'm pretty sure this goes for everybody else in our group, that we want to try and show what we're actually experiencing. We want to try and show that that these things are actually out there, that there aren't, not everything you see on the internet or about the subject is fake or fabricated. At the same time, I, as well as a few other members of our group, have all encountered people that struggle with it, that have things that, that have things that have attacked them, things that terrify them in their homes, things that terrify them at their workplaces. And one of our other major goals is to try and reach out to these people and give them an opportunity, if they feel comfortable to do so, to get in contact with us to, if nothing else, ease their mind that, yeah, you're not alone in this, you're experiencing this too. Help them better understand what's going on, like if it's like actually paranormal or if it's explainable, like if it's something like about their environment or their mental health or something rational. And if it's not, well, I normally let her handle the aspect of helping people cleanse themselves and cleanse their spaces, but we also provide that to people if they need. But the bottom line, if like, even if we know we can't do much to help someone, we still are trying to at least make it a more active topic just discussed, ground more of it in reality, and also help support people that also might be like horrified or confused or lost.
And even learn from it ourselves if we don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, so I know watching these shows nowadays, I'm not going to shout out to any shows. There's some shows that you see that's like, really, that's just not, that's disrespect, or no, that's not really happening. And there's some shows like, holy cow, that happened. So what do you think of some of the shows that is being presented nowadays on ghost spirits?
The last time I ever really kept up with any modern, like, actual televised programs was a show called Paranormal Caught on Camera. But for me, That's more along the lines of actually showing user submitted things, whether it's fabricated or not, and people trying to do the same thing we're trying to do, which is like, okay, what's the reality of this? What are you experiencing? And even if it's not real, what's the actual truth behind real experiences that happen like this?
Mhm.
And beyond that, I've, in a lot of ways, doing like actively doing this has made me less interested in a lot of modern shows that try to like delve into paranormal, or even channels on YouTube that try to like, we investigated this place, we went to this place. Okay, it's neat to see these locations, but I can't tell if you're like blowing smoke or if you're really like actually investigating these places. And for me, it's just I can't deal with it anymore, because a lot of it just seems overblown. It seems overdone. It seems like they're trying to dramatize way too much anymore, instead of just like, I realize that you have to make it entertaining to keep people's attention, I guess. But I've seen just basic photos on the internet without much of an explanation other than, look at this weird thing I saw. Does anybody else know what this is?
Mhm.
Get just as much, if not more, attention.
Yep.
And the fact that a lot of it has gone the direction of trying to be entertaining more so than practical, I just can't deal with it. I personally don't like a lot of the modern versions of that.
I've heard that a lot about different individuals or teams that said they don't like watching shows anymore. And then, of course, some says, "Oh yeah, they get a lot out of them too." But there's some shows that just kind of goes way too far, and there's some shows that's like, okay, yeah, I can see that. How about you, Christy? Any TV ghost shows you watch, or?
Yeah, well, if you ask Darren, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with Discovery Channel.
It's a good, yeah. Same
I
here.
have been literally watching Josh Gates himself for like almost 20 years. I'm 38, turning 39 this year. So I have been avidly watching a lot of stuff about a lot of things. Yeah, some of them I do believe fake it, but then there are times in some of them that you're looking at it going, that how could that have been made up? Because it wasn't made up. Like, okay, it makes you question it. Now, the ones that just make you laugh at it or just look up for a minute, that's not making you question anything. That's something they made up. Like, I've watched a lot of that stuff, and I basically found that it's all up to the actual person, whether you want to believe it or not. I mean, there's some things on there that I'll even look at you in the face and go, that's fake. Like, that's flat out fake. Or then I'll look at you and go, I can't explain that, but I can see if I can try to repeat it.
Yeah.
That's the best way you can do it. Because if you can repeat it, somebody else can too.
Yep. I agree on that. What advice would you give to anybody who would want to start doing investigations?
Don't ever go alone. And if you do, you constantly have a camera rolling at all times. Do not shut that camera off. Do not shut your recorder off. Because just because you leave it laying there doesn't mean you're not capturing nothing. You be capturing it all just by sitting there in the dark, sleeping. You don't know. And if you do go out, like I bring a group of friends with you. Like I used to do it for 20 years just with one single friend. Me and her used to go out every summer and do it. So, you know what I mean? And if you're going to a certain place, know where you're going. Know your history. Know if it's abandoned. Know if you need special boots, need your equipment. Be prepared for those places. Like on our videos, you may not see our backpacks, but we have them with us. I have extra food in those backpacks. I have first aid kits. I have all kinds of things in that backpack. but y'all will never see it unless I need to pull it out
Right.
on our video. So they're literally stashed somewhere else in the cemeteries or wherever we're at. But they're always within reach. So my advice is always keep that stuff within reach. Always remember that when you go do somewhere abandoned or in the middle of the forest and you feel like you're going to get lost, bring a compass. Learn your natural directions. Lost grows on the north side of the tree. You can figure yourself out from there.
That's
You
really
know?
great. That's really great advice. That really is. You know, because we do these shows a lot anymore because it's really big. You know, paranormal is just, especially this year, it's like it just exploded. And, you know, that could be the reason you know, Annabelle. You know, Annabelle is out there. She's on tour. You know, oh, the plantation burned down, prisoners escapes, you know, and everything. And some more that I don't want to mention because of family and stuff. You know, so everybody's blaming Annabelle for all that is going on, you know, because they say, you know, she has a very demonic spirit into her and stuff, you know, and we podcast twice with the grandson of Ed and Lorraine Warren, and very interesting and everything, you know. And you would ask him the question if he thought Annabelle did it. He would say no, no. And then I read an article the other day about Annabelle's handler that he actually just died on his own, you know, that he wasn't near Annabelle or anything. Do you think that stories like Annabelle, Peggy the doll, Robert the doll, do you think there's still demonic spirits in them? Or after all these years, do you think they kind of just disappeared?
I think the act of believing that they're haunted and believing that the spirits that possess them are evil causes more to happen than anything that's actually actively attached to those dolls or entities. And if they are inhabited by something, I go back to the experience you had at the Lizzie Borden house. They're probably tired of being slanderized. They're probably tired of hundreds of thousands of people constantly talking about and interacting with and bothering them in general. And I wouldn't like, I'm sort of 50-50 about the whole Robert the Doll curse thing where people that disrespect the doll have crazy shit happen to them. But if I was doomed to live out the rest of my spiritual existence inside of a doll, and people won't leave me alone, and people will torment me and harass me. Okay, cool. If I have the ability to mess with you or cause some chaos in your personal life because I don't want to be bothered anymore, I'd probably do that eventually. I'd be sick and tired of people constantly coming up to me, like bothering me when I want to be at peace. But at
Yeah.
the same time, there is also, I might keep saying it a lot, but there's a lot of flanderization behind these different beings, behind these different experiences, like even behind like The Conjuring. Like I had actually a conversation the other day with a group of people about the Conjuring movies, and a lot of them were shocked to find out from me that a lot of that wasn't even true.
Yep.
A lot of it never actually happened.
Right.
And no disrespect to their grandson, but the Warrens were also in a lot of ways charlatans. But we don't. That doesn't get publicized. That doesn't get spoken about because it's more entertaining to believe in the idea that something is haunted or something's dangerous or evil or demonic, or that some crazy stuff happened because it's based on a true story.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people puts more into these haunted objects than what it shouldn't be. I mean, if I have a chance to see Annabelle, would I? No, I wouldn't. Because I think it's respect just to leave her alone. Let her deal with herself and whatever she's may going through, you know, just Leave it alone. Robert the doll. Um, they say you need to write a letter to him once you see him,
That's an apology.
and everything. And I personally did not write a letter to him because everything has been going okay. I would not blame him if something did happen. Peggy, I haven't seen Peggy or anything. We have not had anybody to come on about Peggy or anything. So I really cannot say anything. But my cousin did have a haunted doll that him and my daughter was, I guess you could say, playing around. Which me, I'm just like, no, no, no. I don't want nothing to do with that. And it moved on its own. And then she started having nightmares about it and everything. So, I mean, that could happen. I'm not going to be skeptic about it because I have seen things as like, nobody's going to believe me. So,
while I'm not going to retrieve her, we actually have a haunted doll in the house. And we have had multiple people, including myself, on many occasions seen this thing move or change its position. But it's not having experienced that personally, it's nothing like what you hear in stories or see in movies about how like this thing is cursed, it's got an evil whatever in it. Like, no, most I've been able to figure out is that it's possessed by a little girl that most likely owned it back during the era of the Depression and World War II. That is just tied to the doll because they passed away probably with the doll.
Yeah, she's one of many.
I've also seen the little girl that's attached to this doll in a dream, but it was more of a just like warning about the mental state of one of our friends, more so than her trying to scare the crap out of me. I wouldn't have even known that it was this entity until I had enough time to piece together the dream, the type of interactions we've had in the dream, and how abnormal it was. And even then, I didn't fully believe it until about, I want to say, a month or two ago. We were investigating like the house here because this house has a handful of spirits in it. We caught a young girl saying the phrase "tit for tat," like clearly, like an actual, like standing, like an actual person in the room talking. I've never heard anything in an EVP that clear before, and it was just us three here in a completely different room of the house. This was something that walked directly up to my recorder and sent this into the recorder, and it sounded like maybe a little girl about the age of like 5.
Wow.
That was so cute, though.
I have a good friend that has 18 haunted dolls that she has. She's friends with all of them. The ones that does start chaos, she kind of get rid of and everything. But she has tea parties with them. She plays around with them. And, she says she's never had any harm come to her. So, which is cool. I'm just, on the other hand, after I saw the movie Valley of the Dolls, I was out of there. That's it. So
I find it personally ironic because I used to be horrified of porcelain dolls when I was a little kid, due to the fact that it wasn't the doll itself. It was a combination of knowing that they can be possessed by things, but also the fact that a lot of them have glass eyes, so it looks like they're looking at you.
Yeah.
And I find it ironic that years later, I'm now friends with a spirit that lives in a doll. And it just perplexes me because it is the same as you just described with your family's experience of that. All of them have their own personalities because they're all different people that are attached to those items. And sometimes they do cause crazy things. They can cause crazy things to happen, but it's not, again, it doesn't fall on the same level as you would see on TV.
Yeah,
Why do you
no,
always look at me?
I absolutely agree on that. Yes.
Some of them to me are kind of funny. Like one short example I can give: the doll sits in our kitchen. There's a section that's a breakfast nook where one day I was trying to reorganize and move some things out of that breakfast nook, and I knocked a shelf full of tools sitting on the counter that I was trying to move off the counter onto the floor. I had left the room to get a broom to help clean up like the spill. This happened right next to the doll. I'm glad the doll didn't get like dragged down with it, but
Mhm.
we have the doll facing out a window this to the side. I leave the room. By the time I come back, she's helping clean up the mess, and this doll had turned itself from looking out the window to straight out in the kitchen, like, "Holy shit, what just happened?"
Let
I
me.
don't like it when you make a mess.
I have
Yes.
it's only like 5 seconds video of the doll that I was talking about. Let me see if I can show it.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Did that doll just move?
Yes.
It's really small for us.
I like music.
Let me see if I can get it bigger. I don't know if I can or not. I don't think that's all the bigger I can get. Let me play
Okay,
it.
I'll bring it up to us real quick.
Okay, let me. Oops, hang on. I made my place bigger and I can't. Okay, there we go.
Device.
You could ask.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Did that doll just move?
Yes.
No.
So
You see it?
That's wild. So part of me wants to say that part of me really wants to say gravity. It just happened to be sitting at the right angle that like on its own it's sort of just like shifted from gravity.
yeah.
But at the same time, I also have physically seen the doll we have move, like directly move. So I'm at about 50-50 with that. Because the fact that it slumped forward, it could have been like I don't know how often it's moved, but it could have just been sat at the right angle where it was already slowly doing that until it reached a point where
Oh
it
yeah.
just collapsed. But at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, if there's no like reason other than that can explain why it happened, I mean, it could have actually been something moving it to try and get the attention of them, especially if they were recording.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you on that. I'm about 50-50 as well. Because I, like you said, gravity could just the way it was sitting and everything.
Mhm.
But then I have also seen dolls that move too. So I'm like that 50-50. That was the doll that my daughter even had a dream about, that doll climbing in bed with her, calling her name. So it was pretty freaky. My cousin has a head of a doll that when they cut off the head of the doll, the inside of the head had human teeth in it.
Oh, I heard about that
So,
story.
so it was really,
Yeah, I heard about that.
yeah, it was it was kind of like a mystery. But back then in 1800s, you know, who knows what went on actually. But I want to show you guys that because I thought it was, since we was on the subject of dolls, and so I thought that would be a good one to show. I always keep that. But we're almost at the end of our time. Any last words that we have not discussed, or you want to say something?
Well, and when I say it's paranormal way, you want to freak her out by telling her what's been going on around here at the house? Not the cryptid that's been video.
Like to talk?
Yeah,
Ooh.
I could Jeremy.
We never caught it on video.
No, I said that has been caught on video, but that one guy you showed me on that has been caught, but not us, but somebody else. That one video the one that was throwing branches and stuff at him, and you couldn't see him.
Wow.
Remember?
I know what video she's talking about.
In relation to that, did they confirm the identity of that person that was stalking this area?
No.
Because that dude looked weird, and if it's
I was thinking
If
Skinwalker
we're
myself.
experiencing is a shapeshifter, that could have been that because it was right next door.
Yeah, I know.
It's in the same area of this thing, but no. So
We're sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Hey,
so
our entertainment,
about
everybody.
about
We just started going out.
was it like a couple months ago?
It was like three,
Um,
4 months
I
ago.
was sitting on
Because we were both out here.
I was sitting on our couch with her. We were watching a movie, and I forget what we were talking about specifically. She might have actually been telling me about all these weird noises she had been hearing around her house. But as soon as she brought that up,
That's what we were talking about.
all of a sudden we hear this like really weird guttural screeching, crying, howling, like it sounded like something screeching and hollering and also like a pig squealing all at the same time. And I'm thinking that there's raccoons in this area. They've occasionally got into the trash. Maybe a few raccoons are fighting with each other over the trash. So we both grabbed like a blunt object just in case we have to like shove away like some rabid animals. We got onto the porch and then round the corner to where the trash bins are sitting. We're looking down at the trash bins. I'm thinking, okay, so where's this possum at or whatever's out here? None of the trash is disturbed. It's coming from a tree next to the house. And not only that, it's coming from an open section of that tree where you can actually see up into the tree. An entire branch is just being violently shaken, like back and forth.
But like a gorilla would.
We both stood there for a solid like 3 or 4 minutes staring at this with flashlights on the tree trying to find out what happened.
What it is?
Didn't see anything. All of a sudden, the noise just completely went dead. It went dead silent. Like there was nothing. I thought I saw like the lower half of something's legs jump up onto the roof of the house, but it was so quick that I couldn't tell what it was. It looked like actual like human legs, but when we looked up on the roof of the house, there was still nothing there. Next thing we know, this thing like it's like it jumped from this tree to the house to a different tree further away from the tree we were in front of. Started making the same noise with like also shaking the branches of the tree, and then less than half a second was back in the same tree right in front of us. And so we kind of just barricaded ourselves in the house after that. And I ended up calling one of my friends who lives in Canada, who studies cryptids and has experience with different like entities and encounters like this. And he could even hear it coming through the phone. He said to him it sounded like a banshee. But after that happened, it's like this thing popped in and out of existence of stalking this part of the neighborhood for like a couple months. About a week after we had this encounter, she started hearing my name. She started hearing me calling her name, trying to get her to go outside or out into a different room of the house. And then eventually she started also hearing her voice doing the same thing. Like, especially when I'm not here. Like, there's been times where I've been in a whole different city visiting family, and she's heard me, like, I've walked through the door or trying to get her attention. It's also what we assume it's also what we might have encountered in the cemetery when we first had our, like, discussion of that near the beginning of this session. That we think it could be related because it's all within the same area. We're also not the only people that have experienced this. Like a couple of the neighbors have had their own experiences. They just thought they were going crazy or hearing wild animals.
We just watched a YouTube video that he found the other day of some guy in another state having the exact same issues, exact same noises, everything. The only difference was this thing was throwing shit at him, and nothing was being thrown at us. What was it, 2 weeks later? I was coming out of the shower that's connected to the kitchen, and I saw something looking at me through the window. I do not freak very easily. So when I looked up, coming out of the bathroom, I hollered Jared. Like, there was no... I was a woman. I hollered Jared. He comes running into the kitchen, and I'm pointing straight out the kitchen window. Like, there was something there. Half looked like a zombie with half his face torn off.
Oh.
And then she just happened to see the almost exact same thing I did not too long after that, coming through the back door.
Yeah, I was actually, me and you were sleeping in the bedroom when I had that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in the kitchen about to go to my car to go get something. And then, no, I was actually walking out of the bathroom. I stood in the middle of the kitchen looking out the freaking door. I see the same exact thing, what she sees. But this thing has like glowing yellow piercing eyes. And the second that it knew that I could see it with my eyes being closed, it knew right off rip it could contact me, it could get to me.
Crazy thing was she didn't know anything about it until I told her a little bit later. She didn't know nothing about what he looked like until after she's seen it.
After I didn't even know what she was even talking about or knew what exactly what it looked like. Not until the second I knew, I looked right through that door. I was like, oh, hell no. The second that I seen the motherfucker, I screamed for these two. These two ran out to the freaking kitchen. And then out of nowhere, we all were out on the porch. I put a barrier up between all three of us and this motherfucker. And this motherfucker tried to reach his hand through the shield. Nope. He got burnt.
Oh man. Wow. That's an experience there.
Yeah, she's been really wanting to share that in some form on the internet.
Well, she did.
Because I know it happened.
Everything that happened, we have no answer for it. We don't know what kind of entity it could have been. We don't know what it looks like. We don't even know where to begin to try and figure out what this thing is, because I personally considered it and still consider it predatory because it's been stalking her specifically. And it's also been tormenting her. Not as much as it's been affecting her, but it has not once since the time I've seen it tried to show itself to me, but it's using me to try and get to them. And we've not been able to get any kind of answers anywhere. No people, like not even people that like are cryptozoologists that I have talked to even know where to begin. Like we've have 4 different conflicting versions of different tribes and groups that used to be in this area, but none of it's really been adding up. Like we don't have an answer to.
Get down.
Wow. Well, we out of time here. It's been a pleasure speaking with you guys. I love it. I love the experience you guys shared. Thank you for sharing your time with us, your experience with us. Thank you for telling us about yourself. We appreciate it. Until next time, and there will be a next time. I always have everybody back twice or anything. I love doing the podcast. So, but I just want to tell the audience, share, like, subscribe. Go to the Facebook page. I did put it into the comments. So please go to their Facebook page and tell them hello, that you saw them on the podcast. And until next time, blessings, everybody. Bye.
Bye.